The Department of Environment, Food and Agriculture is running a campaign to raise awareness of foot and mouth disease, which has emerged in Europe. With the influx of thousands of TT visitors from across the EU due to arrive, the government has implemented a series of restrictions and are asking the public to be vigilant. Manx.news spoke to the island's Chief Veterinary Officer, Dr. Amy Beckett.
So we're obviously concerned the fact that foot and mouth disease has popped up in Europe again. It's not been in Europe for quite a significant amount of time. It's a disease that affects animals, cattle, sheep, pigs and goats. We have lots of them on the Isle of Man, and it really is a devastating disease, so it can cause serious welfare concerns and serious financial loss as well. It's something that we really want to keep out of the Isle of Man, and we want to do everything we can to do that. So we're running a campaign to try and give the information to the public, and particularly in the view of TT with so many visitors coming across from Europe, about what they can do to help us to keep foot and mouth off the Isle of Man.
Now, many people will recall at the turn of the century that Cumbria was particularly badly hit by foot and mouth disease, and they saw absolutely devastating effects of this disease. The Isle of Man managed to remain disease-free.
So the foot and mouth disease is currently not in the UK, which is great news. So it is quite significantly further away than the situation in 2001 and 2007, but we have put things in place to try and help to prevent it coming to the island. So one of the main things is we're not allowing susceptible animals to be imported to the island from Europe or from GB. This was because of a bluetongue outbreak, but it also means that we haven't got those animals coming in from the foot and mouth point of view as well. We have restrictions in place around semen and embryo imports as well, so they have to come in with health certification, which means they have to follow certain things to show that they're free from foot and mouth disease. We've also put restrictions in place around products, so people fetching food in from Europe are no longer allowed to fetch dairy and meat products from susceptible animals in from Europe for personal use. It can come in for commercial reasons, and that's because it has to come in with an export health certificate, and that means that again those products have been shown to be free from foot and mouth disease.
Now, many of us who've been on holiday will be used to arriving in countries where they've got the sniffer dogs that are looking for not only sort of drugs and explosives, but quite often food. Now we're coming up to TT period where we're going to have a lot of international visitors, and many of them do like to bring their own food. So what are you asking the public to help do over this period?
So I'm asking those visitors from Europe not to fetch their own food with them, to leave it at home and buy food when they're here. The Manx food is great, buy that when you get here. But we're also asking members of the public, when they're out and about and enjoying the countryside, watching the TT, not to dispose of any food where livestock could get to it. So just in case it has come in illegally or from the wrong source, if you're out and about in farmers' fields, then please take your food home with you or dispose of it in a bin away from livestock.
Now, people may be wondering that they may think that processed food is fine because it's all packaged. So what's the actual dangers of processed food to animals?
Yeah, so it's meat basically, or dairy products that can be infected with the virus. So even though they've been processed, unfortunately the foot and mouth disease virus can be quite difficult to kill. So unless it's been processed in very specific ways or has come from an area that's free of foot and mouth, we can't prove that it's not got foot and mouth disease. So even if it's processed, there is still a risk. And that would be that an animal, unfortunately, somebody would throw away a sausage in a farmer's field, accidentally possibly, and unfortunately if that sausage was infected with foot and mouth and an animal on the Isle of Man ate it, then they could get foot and mouth that way. So it's really important, if you're out about in the countryside, to dispose of your food appropriately. Food is perfectly safe for people to eat. There's no risk for people eating food, even if it is infected from foot and mouth. And there is no risk for people catching foot and mouth, but the risk is to livestock, and we want to do everything we can to protect our livestock on the Isle of Man.
Should the worst happen, what could be the consequences for livestock on the Isle of Man?
So unfortunately it's a disease that can kill livestock and cause serious suffering. They get horrendous ulcers in their mouths, they can't eat, it causes severe lameness. So from that point of view it's a devastating disease, but also the point of view that it causes a significant financial loss to farmers. We may have to kill many animals, and it also means that we're unable to trade in those animals and those animal products as well, which in itself will have a devastating effect on the Isle of Man's farming industry.